Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Behind the Mask. I'm your host, Sarah Joy, your friendly neighborhood interrogator turned clone, helping you get to know who the person is behind the screen name here on the Nightcast Creative Discord. So, tonight I'm super excited. This is a person who I've gotten to see some of his stuff in the chat, and I'm very happy to talk to him. We have Angel, who you may know from our Discord channel. So, Angel, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I am a lifelong Star Wars fan,
As you should be.
and that's pretty much it, to be honest. But if you want
That's
details,
it. Yes.
um,
I know that's what everybody's here for is the Star Wars.
I grew up in Virginia. Eventually made my way to New England, up in Massachusetts. Got married, and work in restaurants. I do a bunch of Star Wars adjacent hobbies, everything from the tabletops to collecting, crafting, creating, cosplay. I have no other alliteration for that, but yeah, all of everything that entails. I do a little bit of other genres, like I got Lord of the Rings and Dungeons and Dragons. Pretty much, almost everything within the general nerd realm. So.
So, did you grow up a nerd or did you become a nerd?
Oh, that's an interesting
New
question.
question. I know. I was like, how did we all get into our nerdiness?
I a lot of how I found myself as a nerd, partly due to my brother, who
Okay.
is just over 9 years older than I am. So
Okay.
whenever he was in, high school, I was in elementary school, in college to middle school, and that age difference, I sort of got like brought up into the slightly more older adult type things.
He
Um,
raised you well.
yes, he did. So in Virginia, against the Appalachian Mountains and the Shenandoah Valley, I was outdoors all the time. Lived against the mountain, so I had a lot of outdoors focused stuff, but I was into Legos and a lot of independent type stuff. And once I started being able to read bigger books, I grabbed my brother introduced me to The Lord of the Rings, all of Tolkien, Legendarium, however it's pronounced. Then we got a hold of Star Wars in the mid 90s. And then I started eyeing books in the bookstore. It also said Star Wars, which was wild because you're telling me there was more than just 3 movies. And so I started reading the books, and it just
Uh-huh.
pretty much took off from there. So it was sort of like a coming out of the woods and into the world of like, oh, cool. There's really weird nerd stuff that I can get my hands into.
Nice. I love that. So, you with the Star Wars, you kind of like went into the books, and I've actually never read the books, even though I did grow up when they were around before we had any other Star Wars, before Disney Plus was playing all of the
Mm,
Star Wars we could ever want at any hour
right.
of the day. Yeah. Um, so like I know that there was a lot of kind of like being made fun of for being nerdy when we grew up. Is that something that you ever experienced? And tell us how you enjoyed or converted people.
I can't say I was terribly made fun of necessarily for being nerdy. I was actually the only thing I can recall being made fun of was I did not hit a growth spurt until I was like mid to late high school. So I was
Uh-huh.
always like barely over 5 feet tall, like just barely hitting that sort of thing. So that's really what people would get on me for.
And
Um, with things like the Lord of the Rings movies and the Pirates of the
mhm,
Caribbean all coming out around the early aughts, all of my
mhm.
friends were into that, and it was popular
How
and
nice.
fantastical. So
Uh-huh.
I am glad that my brother had gotten me into that early on, so I could
Hmm.
pull my friends into that more than anything else. Um,
Ooh. Tell me
and
more about
I
pulling your friends into that. Yeah.
um pulling people into it. I had a lot of. I went to a private school through middle school,
Mm.
and I knew a lot of the kids that were uh, in my grade specifically, just because in private schools they pretty much put you in the one grade and you don't get to interact too often. Maybe that was my experience. Maybe it was different elsewhere, but um, so we would end up doing a lot of other stuff together, extracurricular, to the point where we convinced our Spanish teacher to take us to the Lord of the Rings showings back in the early odds.
Uh-huh.
So we would all like make these plans and be like, we just need an adult to take us. And so we'd all meet up at the school and she'd drive us there. We'd have our minds blown for seeing Lord of the Rings in theaters. And then we'd get, brought back, parents would pick us up, that sort of thing.
Oh my God,
That
that's
that
brilliant.
yeah, that was like the little grouping kind of thing. And then once I got into high school, I really picked up a lot of literature interest.
Mhm.
Um, Mainly not just like the American literature, because a lot of what the American high school literature focuses on is like the stuff that's kind of boring, Steinbeck and the early 1900s stuff, which is just
Right.
depressing. Um,
Very
but I would
depressing.
I'd get interested in the Russian literature, Irish literature, French literature. There's one that stuck out. The Master and Marguerite. It's a Russian
Okay.
novel about the devil who runs a circus comes to a Russian town, and the devil's a black cat, and he plays pranks and has a whole. I don't want to spoil anything if anybody wants to read it, but
Mm.
it's very odd and weird type of way of storytelling, and I latched on to that. And so when I went even into college, I would take literature classes for foreign literature specifically. Um, because by that point I had read The Lord of the Rings about 10, 15 times full through, and I needed something new. I couldn't keep doing that all the time.
Right. I
um
mean, you could. You totally could. No one
oh,
would
I
judge
mean,
you for that here.
yeah, no, I still make the attempt every December, like, okay, I'm gonna do it again, and I never quite finish the book. But um, um but that, in addition to all the Star Wars books
Mhm.
that have been put out, Uh, I have currently four of those like large your storage boxes that have like the seal
Mhm.
around them and the six latches. They're all full of books because we don't have the shelving for it. Of
Nice.
one's definitely all Star Wars books. I spent
That's
one
amazing.
summer, well, let's say one summer, but I've spent a number of years trying to collect all of some of the original books, by visiting a bunch of used books shops throughout my life.
Mhm.
So whenever my wife and I travel, or I go back home, or wherever we go, we always look up used bookstores, and I try to find my big list. Oh, do I have that one yet? Oh, yeah, okay, I have that. Oh, do I have this one? No, okay.
Please tell
So
me it's in a spreadsheet. Please tell me it's in a spreadsheet.
no, I'm awful. I don't do spreadsheets. My wife does spreadsheets. She's all about spreadsheets. I
Oh
cannot
no.
handle that level of structure. It's all handwritten and like margins. Like, okay, I got that one. Scratch that one off. Scratch this one off.
Oh
Um,
my God, that's hilarious.
but I
Well, literature, right? That's very, is it left brain is creative and right brain is organized, or is it flipped?
oh, I have no idea. I have pretty
Simultaneous.
rough adult ADHD, so that's just kind of what goes on there.
Love that. Love
Mm.
that. We're a giant community of neurodivergence in the best way.
Well, they say neurodivergents collect with each other because they
We
understand each
really
other
do.
better. Yeah.
Yes. It's so much easier. It's so much easier to talk to people. Oh,
Yeah, it
Andrew
is.
just posted a spreadsheet. It's so
Oh
nice
gosh.
in the chat.
Yeah.
See everybody later. I'm going to stare at
That's
the
a
spreadsheet. It's so many rows.
hey. No, I got it. I saw that.
Oh, I love it.
But yeah, so
All
growing
right.
up and collecting
Yeah.
books, it was a whole. Well, I didn't start out collecting. It was just I sort of cobbled together. Oh, here's something else. Here's another form of media in which the nerd stuff can attach to. When my brother would come home from college uh, with his Gateway 98 computer, and it had Dark Forces and Dark Forces 2 on it, and
Oh my
was it Rogue Squadron and Rebel Assault and all the Star Wars video games from the 90s and early aughts, and he would let me play them at 3 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. Yeah,
Oh my
it was
God,
so
that's
much
so
fun
good.
because we'd be up late. They'd be
Right.
like, "Oh, it's 3 a.m. You've got to go to bed." I'll tell mom, you just woke up or something.
Oh my
So,
God, that's so good. So, like, what got you into gaming too, especially small town, like Appalachian, Virginia, West Virginia?
mm,
Not a big gaming community out
no.
there. I lived not terribly far out of Roanoke for a little while too.
Um, so my parents' generation, they were sort of the generation in that area that they sort of broke the rules, as it were. They
Okay,
played
okay, the
cards.
Rebels. They played cards.
They played cards.
Scandalous.
It was very scandalous. My my mother learned from one of her grandmothers how to play cards. Um, and there were stories about how upset her father would get about her learning to play cards and that sort of thing. My dad would play cards with his brothers. He
Um,
had the same sort of age gap with his family. His oldest sibling, he was 20 years younger than. Um, so there's like my generation between the all are like stretched.
right, right. Your
So
family
we yeah
spans
we played
forever.
a lot of card games, Rummy, Gin Rummy, that sort of
Yeah.
thing. Does anyone know the card game called Rook? It has like a
I don't
crow
know
or a
it
raven on
well.
it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yes. Yes, I remember playing that in high
Yeah,
school.
I
Yep.
don't I, I don't remember how it operated or whatnot, but that's like one of my earliest memories of my family sitting down at the table. We played Rook or Gin Rummy or whatever. Eventually,
Uh-huh.
we did get around to board games such
Uh-huh.
as Life and Risk.
Right. Ooh,
Um, we weren't allowed to play Monopoly. There was
why not?
apparently my dad's family were contentious in regards to Monopoly, so that was banned from the whole family. So
Okay,
that was never
okay.
allowed.
They were like
Uh,
genetically we're predisposed to be terrible when we play Monopoly, so we're not
Terrible
playing
at each other, but yeah. Um,
it.
uh, eventually, it evolved from board games to computer games, of course. Once my
Okay.
brother went off to college, and things were done
Yep,
on
that very
computers
fancy town.
then. So, and then from there, it was just, oh, we got a computer now. Or now I get a laptop for the first time, and my very first laptop, um, excuse me,
Yeah.
came with a free copy back when free copies of games were with
That was the
things.
thing, yeah. Yeah.
Uh, it came with a free copy of The Lord of the Rings online. We had no idea what it
Oh,
was at the time either. My brother and we didn't know that there was an MMO being done. Like we've heard of
I
EverQuest. He had friends who played EverQuest in college.
yeah.
We heard of WoW, but Lord of the Rings, like, oh yeah, that's like right up our alley. So I like loaded it up, and it was like my mind was going wild. Like I'm in Bree and I'm in the Shire and everything. And so he's he was like, "Whoa, this is so cool! How did I not know about this?" So he gets himself a copy, and then we're playing together, and becoming a part of an MMO community as a whole thing in itself, as I'm sure some
Oh,
of y'all
yes.
know.
Yeah.
And then it just expanded through college, and then through post college, and then moving up here, and coming up into podcasting, and D&D, and the Star Wars RPG. It was like one giant snowball that went from like this to the size of a house within a few years.
I mean, as it should, right? As it
Yeah,
should.
yeah.
Oh my God, that's amazing. I had no idea there was a Lord of the Rings MMO.
Mm. It's been like 15, 16 years this April.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I love it.
Working. That's amazing. Is it still running?
Yeah, still running, still being updated, still being
Oh my
they're still
God.
producing expansions. In fact, the headquarters of the game itself is up here in Massachusetts, out in not what's that famous Massachusetts college town?
Boston? What
No, no,
else
no, no, no.
other than
The fancy
Boston?
one.
All right, y'all.
I'm bad for
In the chat.
names.
Go, me too.
Cambridge.
Oh, Cambridge. Okay,
Cambridge.
yeah.
It's out like right next to
I've
Cambridge or
saved
something like
Closer.
that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm awful with names, so y'all gotta forgive me if I call something the wrong name.
You know what? Just say it and commit, because most of us are readers and we've read names. We haven't actually said them out loud. So, like, it's all correct. That's my theory.
Just go for the list.
You know exactly what I mean. You know exactly what I mean. Oh my God. Let's see. I just got outed in the chat, though. I do cheat at Monopoly a lot. And that's my brother who is in this chat. And I do get mad if other people cheat. So, yep. So it's Monopoly. Very, very contentious game, dangerous with families. I love that. So, like, how did you transition? I'm assuming you still play this MMO, right?
Oh yeah, I got so lucky. The second year I was playing it, I was a little cocky. I was in college, and I was working both part-time job and being in college and playing an MMO, which, time. But I had a little money, and that Christmas, they put their lifetime accounts on sale for $200, and I was like,
"Oh my
God, what? I'm not doing anything with my life. I'm gonna get one." And so, even after two different corporate buyout type things, they're still honoring them, which is phenomenal.
Amazing.
Yeah,
best $200 you ever spent.
Oh yeah, it came out like at this point. I think it's down to like $1.50 a month at this point for what it costs.
Oh my
It was
God,
like
so
absolutely.
Yeah, I was trying to run it in my head real quick, and I was like, well, it's less than $20 a year. It's almost down to $15 a year, and you're getting closer when they have their 20th. You'll be at $10 a year. Like,
oh yeah,
that is amazing. How many of you are there still on it? Excuse me.
there's
that have played.
There's
for
quite
long periods of time. Yeah,
there's quite a few people that still populate it. There's a number of mini communities within the game that I know are still around, or some that have come and gone. There's a whole role-playing group that I used to watch. I didn't partake, but it'd be fun to like watch them do stuff and come up with stories. That they came and went. One of my favorites, and they just disappeared after a while because, I mean, it's a 15-year-old game. And there's some communities that I'm still vaguely a part of. I still have friends on Facebook of these people, primarily people where they're like in their 40s and 50s now, because they're all older than me.
That's okay. There's nothing wrong with people in their 40s.
Nothing wrong. Nothing wrong with that. It was just like I every time I like met another person or another group in the game, it's like, yeah, my kids are getting ready to go into high school and blah. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna graduate college soon, I guess. So it's like all these like parental figures in the game for me.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say it's one of the best and most friendly online game communities that I've ever found. I think it was even voted that one time in some online poll.
I love that. So for us, Discord, Nightcast Creative is one of the definitely most friendly places I've ever been, and we are all very
Yeah,
friendly. So if y'all
I
looking
agree.
for another friendly place, Lord of the Rings MMO.
Absolutely agree.
I love it. Have you been to the headquarters? I'm dying to know.
No, I haven't been to the headquarters. They've had a few uh big game event Boston things. They'll have get-togethers every once in a while. Uh,
Oh
PAX
yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
cons.
Mhm.
So they'll be like, "Hey, we're having a Thursday night get-together with some of the developers and whatnot," and head over there. Haven't been able to make it out to one because I've only recently moved up to the Boston region.
Okay.
So,
You're getting
um,
closer. You're just getting closer to the gaming company is what it is.
yeah, I have to physically get close. I have to move from this house now to like another 30 miles east or something.
Right. Yes. Yes. We know that this is your ultimate plan and we support you.
Probably, yeah. If it's ever say that I have a plan on life, that's probably the loosest thing.
I like it. You know what? You can't plan for life. Like, it's so very true. It just kind of sneaks up on you and evolves. And
It,
then you're like, oh, wow, I'm
yeah, it does. It
so many
really
years old
does.
and continue to play, right? So that's awesome. So, like, how did you convert from that into tabletop RPG?
Well, in college, at the same time when I was really into the game,
Mhm.
I did get invited to a local, unrelated to the college, a local group of D&D players. Um, and looking back now of how wild that group was, just because it was 9 people in one D&D group. That's a lot. And then they
That
still
is a
invited,
lot.
and they didn't just play D&D. These were four brothers plus another 5 people, who one would call in from China on video or something to
Oh
play
my
with
God.
us. Yeah. And they would play with every single official D&D and Pathfinder edition. If it was a published rule, you would be
Uh-huh.
allowed to use it. And that's how they would run their campaigns because they've been playing for so long. They were trying to come up with the weirdest, wildest stuff to put together. I made some weird characters.
Oh, wow. Okay, okay. So who was your first character? Let's start with that.
Very first character
Yes.
was it's still vague as to exactly what race I had picked because it was either it was this weird separation of kind of dragonborn or whatever
Mhm.
dragonborn was at the time, but also dragon person. Like there were two different kinds, and one was like real dragon, but one was like humanoid dragon. I don't exactly remember which one I picked, but I was an absolute fool, and you could tell my greenness to D&D. I picked a bard class that had in Pathfinder you could pick prestige classes, which are like
Oh yeah,
a
yeah.
weird specialization thing, which
Mhm.
was a dragon soul. So I was like this dragon person with a dragon soul, and I would get dragon physical benefits as I leveled up instead of like class levels. So I was just playing a dragon that had like a little bit of bard. But then we were allowed to take what's called templates, and you could just use those. And so I took the half dragon template eventually, and so I was like a full dragon without ever actually being a drag. It was stupid and cheesy, and
Oh,
I
that's
had one of
amazing.
my friends would just roll their eyes at me, and so I was just dragon. That was my first character.
Oh,
Dragon
it's
with a
so
little bit of
like
music.
everything about dragon
Yeah,
in a bipedal person thing.
yeah. In fact, I did the traditional bard romancing a dragon too, because I was a
Oh,
dragon.
Okay. I like it. I like it. Oh my
And then I
God.
started a dragon cult. So,
Well, I mean, what else would you do? That's only natural,
right?
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's amazing. I love it so much. So what was your weird and wackiest? Hello, you're
Weird
back.
and wackiest. Yeah, she's decided that she didn't want to be away from me anymore.
That's right.
She's a very needy child. Oh, real quick, you asked earlier. This is Sam Fisher.
Hi, Sam Fisher.
It's a she. It is named after the Splinter Cell character, Sam Fisher, if you're wondering, because she will murder you in your sleep if you are not
Yeah.
careful.
Yeah.
Um,
As you should. You're so cute.
well, she is adorable. Her sister is cuter, but we won't get into that right now.
Don't tell her that. Don't tell
Mhm.
her that.
The weirdest character I've ever done. Um, I can picture it. I'm having trouble remembering the name or the description of it. Gosh, I think it was actually so after that group
Mhm.
of D&D, I had to move on eventually. I've been in like 8 different D&D groups at this point. But when I moved up here, I had to find a group to play in, of course, and I did with my
Mhm.
coworker, because we had moved up here to help start a lab for our company, and it was
Oh,
just
cool.
like the two of us moving up from Virginia, and worked with 2 other people who lived up here. But we loved D&D, and
Oh,
eventually, like the group we joined was like 30, 40 minutes away on a weeknight, and we're like, we're just gonna start our own. So we did
mhm.
that. And I ended up falling into the DM position for always. And
Yes.
I we didn't have a lot of people at first. It was like 3. So I had to like help them along. And I think I made some sort of like werebore light cleric type elemental humanoid. I think it was like a Earth Ganassi light cleric. And it was also a werebore. I don't remember
Love
exactly why I made it, but it was set up to like make sure they didn't kill themselves in the campaign.
it. Yep. Yep. Accurate as they took the training wheels off to
Mm.
adventure in their own world. That's awesome. So you guys moved up to Virginia to set up a lab. That sounds
Mhm.
cool and sciencey and stuff.
I starting back post college years, I worked in restaurants for quite some time,
Mhm.
in college and then post college. Um, worked at a couple of restaurants, worked at a country club,
Oh, fancy, yeah.
which exhausted me. I did banquets and I did service, and I was easily doing 90 hours a week there.
Oof.
Um, that I was very young and I could handle it for a while, but eventually it caught up to me and I had to leave.
Mm.
Um, I ended up going part time at a very nice tea house in the same town.
Uh-huh.
Uh, much more relaxed, very
Yeah.
casual,
Pe-
very
Tea
enjoyable.
have to be chill, right? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
So I learned a good bit about tea there.
Mhm.
Eventually, I wanted to do like I wanted to move on to a full time, use my degree, which was the sciences, psychology, and uh, some histology and like work. Um, so I got a job at a histology lab.
Okay.
Uh, and within 9 months, they said, "Hey, we're starting a lab up in Massachusetts. Does anyone want to go before we start trying to hire people?" And I was like, "I've always wanted to move to Boston. Sure."
Yeah, this sounds excellent.
Hmm.
So what is histology? Because I have no idea. I could Google it, but
Histology is the fundamental uh, operations and way in which research is able to be qualified into stuff. Meaning, I know it sounds a weird way to say it, but specifically histology is the process of taking the tissues of research animals and putting them on microscope slides.
Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah.
The long process of harvesting organs, essentially dehydrating the organs, cutting out the pieces you want, the process then putting them into wax, putting wax into the organs so that you can then cut them microns thin, put them on a microscope slide, put a stain that you want to use on it, and then seal them, put them under a microscope, and then the pathologist can look at it and say, yeah, I don't think you got the target section, so you're going to have to cut more and do it all over again.
I like how you know that that's the goal, though.
Yeah.
We call that job security.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
Yeah, we the lab up here in Massachusetts was a specialty lab that did atypical stains. We did everything from traditional like silver staining to immunofluorescence, which is typically done in neurons or brain cells or like the spinal cord, that sort of thing. And what it does is you expose it to the various different light wavelengths with a fluorescing stain, so that when you put it under a dark room under a specific microscope, it will glow certain portions of whatever it is you decide to stain. So the white matter versus gray matter, or the myelin that are along the neuron sheaths, will glow different colors. So it'd be like a bright lime green or a red or a blue, sometimes a yellow they'd use. And it would, these phenomenal looking pictures. If you just Google fluorescent stain in brain, you'll get these, it's like a black background and it looks like colored stars in the sky. Gorgeous pictures we would do.
So cool.
It really is.
Oh my God. So these slides, when they're done, where do they go? Where could one get some of these?
You can. Unfortunately, with immunofluorescent ones, they decay rapidly.
Oh, okay.
Unlike traditional stains that aren't immunofluorescent, you have to, in order to look at them and take pictures, you have to shoot the light at them again. You have to have the big special microscope machine that shoots the light at them, reflects it back, and takes the picture. But you have to have like them low refrigerator temperature controlled, dark room, all that stuff. And even then, they're not going to last but like 6 months. Which is why you have to take pictures.
Okay. So what you're telling me is I could not hang one of these up in my room and just get a really cool thought.
I mean, you could definitely do the pictures of them, but the slides is only that big, and it's actually see through because you can't, because it's the light, it's not the yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a decorating idea down the drain, but that's amazing, especially like it's so needed. I had an MRI the other week and had to do like staining in my brain, which was all say what?
So I love MRIs.
Oh yeah, they're super fun. When I get mine back, I'll send it to you. It'll be super fun. But it's so cool, like how much we can learn from like just being able to look inside, right? And to understand more from looking inside. I had no idea there was an entire science about understanding how to look inside better.
It's even more interesting because we would take companies' proprietary staining proteins and get them to work for them.
Ooh.
So, for example, since I'm not going to name the company,
right.
was one company that was developing a particular protein that would attach to a specific type of cancer in a specific type of animal only.
Ooh.
So
Uh-huh.
that way it would be easier to like put into the body and see if it would be not just on the slide, but like they
Mhm.
would give it to the animal and then they would see if it actually attached to the cancer that was in the liver of the animal, and then you would take it all, stain it, see if it attached properly.
Interesting.
Yeah, I could go on and on about the whole histology process, about like you create the tissue has protein connectors and you're essentially making like a ladder of uh signal detection, because
Uh-huh.
you're never staining the tissue itself. You're staining a you're adding something that attaches to the protein of the tissue, and then you add something that attaches to the protein that attached the tissue, then you're adding something that attaches to that that will let you attach a specific color marker. Then you can see, because that chain connects only to that one tissue you're looking for,
Oh my
hopefully.
God,
Because
that's so cool.
sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the whole thing is blue, and you're like, ah, crap.
Why is
Then you got
everything
to
blue?
start over.
Not how this was supposed to go. That's really
Hmm,
amazing. It's really amazing. It's almost like
it
artistry
is.
with artistry through science with
My
organs, which just makes me exceedingly
my
happy.
coworker was very good at that. She
Uh-huh.
knew the ins and outs of. No, she still knows the ins and outs of all of it. She still
Mhm.
works there. Um, I don't do that anymore. So
Okay.
in
That's okay.
2022, I quit.
Uh-huh.
I had a bit of a crisis. I got cat hair all over my face. Thank you. Um,
But it's cute cat hair.
I I ended up quitting and having a big life crisis. I
Totally
took
fine.
some yeah, I took some time off, which ended up being several months,
Mhm.
and I realized there is one thing I have always loved, and I just need to find a good environment for it, and that was working the restaurants.
Nice.
Um, and by the most incredible chance happening, once I finally realized that, like within 3 weeks, a restaurant that my wife and I both loved. So they were hiring, so I
Mhm.
applied. They, I absolutely botched the stage, cutting my finger on a mandolin, working with some garlic and all this nonsense, and it was a mess. They still called me back because they were like, "Hey, listen, come back for our off night." And their off night turned out to be one of their busiest nights they ever had. They loved that I was able to step up for it, and I've been working there since August, September. Um,
Nice.
yeah, uh, but it's not just that it was a good restaurant and good food.
Mhm.
Specifically, these two guys that own the restaurant and the sous chef even that I've become friends with are the most wonderful, easygoing. They're
Oh, good.
some of the most gentle men that I've ever known. And
Aw.
it's wild. It's wild for a restaurant. I don't know if anyone's worked in restaurants, but this environment with these kind of people is unheard
Mhm.
of, and they're as thankful for me as I am for having this place to work.
Oh,
Um,
that's amazing.
I do part time with them.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a as they say, it's Asian-ish cuisine. Um, they're teaching me a little bit. I'm helping out with some like operational functions, that sort of thing.
Nice.
But hands down, best place I've ever worked. It,
Oh,
it's
that's amazing, Angel.
it's I don't want to say it's almost no stress because we still have busy nights, but they are uplifting people. They are encouraging. They are supportive. If you're sick, they're like, no, you can't come in. Stay home. Um, it phenomenal. I'm just it surprises me at least once a month. Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I work here still.
I love that. That's amazing. And I did 8 years in the food industry, and that is
Mhm.
rough. You don't find that. You don't find that. Even my
You
best
don't.
job was not anywhere near that. So, oh, that's so cool. We're all gonna have to go to the restaurant, and when they're hiring, I think everybody in the Discord would like to know. We'll just all come work there. It'll be a big Discord hangout. Oh my God, that's amazing. I love that. And I love that you were able to recognize within yourself, like, you know what, life is short. I've got an
Mhm.
opportunity here. I'm gonna do what I love.
Yeah,
So
a little bit more details before we get to that list
yeah,
of
yeah.
questions they put
All
up.
the questions I know in like 5 minutes we'll end up having left because this is amazing.
um, uh, Back in 2020, sort of the start of a 2-year rough period for me.
Mm.
Eh, my wife and I got married December 2019, and we had all these
Oh
plans.
my God. Okay. Yeah.
So that, like, okay,
You're still
we would be
together. You all are doing really good. We're
yeah.
proud of you.
So it was like, okay, well, I guess we just put it off. Unfortunately, that summer, um, I had an uncle who's very dear to me pass.
Oh,
Him and his wife were essentially my grandparents because my other grandparents passed away, partly because they were the generational age difference. I never
right.
knew any of them. Um, so when he passed, that was devastating. I couldn't go down. I couldn't go down fight like the
Right. Yeah. No one
wasn't
was
able
going
to
anywhere.
then.
Yep.
Um, and then that October, my father had passed unexpectedly,
Mm.
um, completely unrelated to COVID. So it was even more confusing and wild and just devastating to all of us.
Yeah.
And that put me down for at least a year. Just mm, I don't remember that
Hmm.
well. So trying to finally come out of that, and then 2022, my aunt, the wife of the uncle,
Oh, goodness. Uh-huh.
who was actually my father's sister,
Mhm.
also had passed away. The aunt and uncle, they were in their early 90s, so it wasn't
Oh,
terribly
okay. Okay.
unexpected. But
But
those
still,
two, no,
not
those two
fun.
were the
Yeah.
most. They were the closest people to me. In general, they were the two that were like encouraging me to get out of town, go to Massachusetts.
Uh-huh.
He was in the Air Force, and she followed him around. They were always encouraging to me to get out into the world and
Mm.
uh, not just stay where I was, in the little hometown region kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, so that was just rough. And so that when she had passed, that was when I had quit my lab job and was like, I I don't know what's happening right now. I
Right.
can't handle this anymore. Um, so then I spent those 9 months just readjusting, figuring out life, that sort of thing. My wife is wonderful through it all. She still is. She is incredibly intelligent. She works in the energy. Oh gosh, I can never get it right. Oh my gosh, building energy usage and energy industry stuff.
Interesting.
Um,
Okay. Okay.
she's had all kinds of energy adjacent jobs of how to tell people how to monitor energy usage in a building on building floors. There was one point she worked
Interesting.
for a company that had loggers that she could essentially log on to a software online and be like, yeah, on floor 17 you have two computers that are still on over the weekend, and that's why you have a slightly higher usage for this. And like, really cool stuff.
That's
But then she
amazing.
knows so
Yeah.
much. Like, she's incredibly smart. She
Mm.
handles all the house stuff because I don't know anything about that. I grew up on the side of the mountain. You use a fire to heat your house. Um,
Right.
so yeah, she's the smart one. She took care of everything. incredibly intelligent and allows me to be able to work part-time in restaurants. She loves it, and I get to do what I love in a contained
And I'm
capacity. So,
assuming there's a discount that comes at this really good restaurant too. Smart woman.
oh yeah, she's all about that. No,
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
the restaurant's very good people. They
Amazing.
take care of the people they know. It's technically a co-op as well,
I
because
love
they're
co-ops.
expanding. They're taking a baker underneath of them.
Oh,
So we're going to be opening up a croissant bakery and all that kind of stuff. And it's they're expanding right now, and they're a little nervous, and we're all excited. So
oh my God, that's going to be amazing. And that's amazing. And I
yeah,
love that you all have worked out your partnership because, like, we're as a partner, like, you, I'm trying to think of a good way to say this. You meet each other's needs and you help the other
mm,
person be the best version of themselves that they can be. And
exactly
when you're
that.
that, everybody wins.
Yep.
Like, and yeah, like, jobs are here for such a temporary time and we're
Yep.
supporting like the economy and whatnot with them, but like to have ourselves whole and thriving is way better than anything else.
Oh
So
yes.
like I love that. That's amazing. Hopefully that'll inspire some folks listening tonight too to like, just really focus on your wholeness. Focus on what brings you joy. Marie Kondo that. Marie
Absolutely.
Kondo your job.
That's
Yeah.
a big part of why I like the restaurant industry.
Mhm.
I didn't necessarily like doing the restaurant work necessarily. I do, but I have at even when I didn't work restaurants for a while, I made dinners for people and I had people over. And I liked the hospitality.
Mhm.
For my D&D group as the DM, I was the mom figure for everyone. I always liked to be
Makes
the
so much
one that
sense.
created an environment for people to where they could relax for a minute, they could take a breather, and then go back to what they were doing. And
I love
that's
that.
what I like is providing that environment. Like
Mhm.
some what's that I forget the name for it from that one show, but it was like that House of Reprieve kind of thing where you
Ooh,
go
yeah.
to it, you don't have to worry about anything, and then you can go back to whatever it is that you were doing. That's what
Oh,
I, at the core of restaurants and that kind of thing, that's what I strive for.
oh, I love that so much. That's amazing. And yeah, like because life is so hard, we've got to have that
Yeah, especially
space.
now.
So thank you for making that space. And in games too, like
Mm,
we all need it, right? Because it is an escape from our lives.
hmm.
So, oh, I love it. Oh my God, why do
Um,
we only have 11 minutes left?
do you want me to? I thought about some of these ahead of time, so I can like
Ooh,
shoot this
ooh,
off.
okay. You did
What's the
homework.
story behind my screen name? Um, I would like to say it was from the TV show Angel because I identified with him as a middle schooler and being very broody and blah blah blah, but it's not. It was actually a character from the Lord of the Rings Online that I made. It was named after a Tolkien name, which is actually pronounced Angelamir, but everyone always shortened the name to Angel because you can't scream Angelamir, get out of the lava or something like that. So they just said Angel, get out of the lava. So that just stuck, and that's how everyone has known me through every Discord, Ventrilo system, Mud server. It's always been Angel, so I just stuck with Angel or Angel of Saints when Angel wasn't
Oh my,
available.
right,
Um,
right. Hold on.
Favorite photo I've ever taken. If you go onto my Instagram, there's a series of Thrawn with some Death Troopers when I got my very first 3D printed stuff, which was eWeb.
Uh-huh.
An eWeb from the Empire Strikes Back version I had bought from a 3D printer person, and they're not great pictures, but I had so much fun taking them.
Oh, see, but that's what it's about. That's what it's about is the memory
Yeah.
behind it.
Oh yeah,
I don't know.
when it comes to my crafting and photography and all that, I don't do it for anyone else. I do it because I like it. but that's why it doesn't look fancy or anything like that. Like I get what I want out of it, and it's for me. And my mother pointed out one time, like, well, we'd at least like to see it. I was like, okay, I'll put them for people to
Not
see.
for mom. Yeah. No, you don't get to see my fun, Mom. Oh, that's so cute. What got you into cosplay? I know that it's like further down here, but I definitely want to hit on that like before
I
the
I didn't get
time.
into cosplay. I'm not actually into cosplay, first of all. I just
What?
really so my very first thing was an actual suit of armor, a metal suit,
Uh-huh.
because I
Whoa.
thought it was the coolest thing.
Well, yeah.
I got to a point where I was like on my own and making money and didn't know what to do with my money and
Hmm?
didn't know what a 401k was at the company. So I was like, I'm gonna buy myself a suit of armor. That sounds like a
This sounds
great
completely
idea.
reasonable. Yep. Also, a good investment for when, everything goes Dark Ages again.
Well, I gave it to my brother because I
Oh,
moved on to the Star Wars stuff. And I was like,
okay, okay.
oh, there's a company that makes screen accurate Stormtrooper costumes? Yeah, I'm doing one of those.
Yes.
So I rarely get a chance to do it except for like Halloween or some kids event in the town library, but I like it. It's fun.
It's
It's in the
amazing.
basement, but it's a model person that I can put the armor on as a stand.
Oh, I love that. That's amazing.
Um,
So, are you 501st then, or you're just like
I'm not
kind of
501st.
okay?
I'm super weird about large groups of people.
Yeah, I don't
It's
blame you.
I got my ADHD quirks, and that's just one of them. Like I can do, like if there were other people on the cameras right now, I'd be much more nervous. But it's just you, and I just have to look at you.
Yeah, perfect. And I hide all of the non-video participants, so I have
Mhm.
no idea. It's just you and me talking. There's nobody else
Oh, I
here.
didn't know you could do that. Okay, we'll
Oh
have to do
yeah,
that.
oh yeah. Except for
Um,
the 50,000 friends we have over in Thailand, which I've decided we have. So,
oh, okay.
yeah,
Uh, but
we're famous.
the photography stuff is more just
Uh-huh.
like I don't ever go out to try something. I think of an idea that would be cool and like, okay, well, so what do I have that could make that work? And I'd try to make it work kind of thing. Um, the other side of that is I like making my own figures. I know I've shown a couple of you all some stuff.
Do you paint
I,
these too?
I'm not great at painting, so I try to avoid that. But I have like a Delilah I've been working on.
That is amazing.
Those
So
of you
how do
who
you avoid painting that?
So I didn't pay any of that. That's just the base stuff it came with. So I take them apart. I'll sculpt. I'll cut pieces off, glue things on, put things together. Oh, I did a. If I showed this to anyone, I did a Mara Jade as the Emperor's hand.
That's
It's not
so
very
good.
good. Let's see if I can get a better white bright here. Yeah.
That's
So
so cool.
and it's I never do. Excuse me. I never do anything that like I'm gonna sell or something like that. I just excuse me, the tea's getting to me. Um, I just do something that I think I can make work or would be interesting.
Mhm.
Um,
And it's all about
I have
joy,
it up
like
here.
costuming or like
Yeah, because
toys.
I like crafting. So my brother makes staffs. He carves out
Ooh,
staffs and whatnot, and he put a deer skull that my dad had killed and kept. He put on top of it, and I'm currently trying to figure out the best way to attach moss to
that
it.
is beautiful.
Um, because I am working on a druid costume that
Uh-huh.
is I have a bunch of antlers that of various deer that my family used to hunt.
Mm.
That I'm making a crown out of. That's all in the basement. Um,
Oh my God, that's
and
amazing.
I have a I have a bird's nest I found on our property that I'm going to put in the back of the deer skull where the antlers are. I have
Uh-huh.
some feathers I've collected and furs and dried herbs. So I'm
Oh
really
my
looking
God,
forward
so
to
cool.
one day finishing that druid costume, but we'll see how that goes.
So it's funny because when we were talking beforehand and I was asking you about cosplay, you're like, well, I don't really cosplay.
That's only
You're
like my third
building an
one.
antler crown. You're collecting things. This is like the quintessential cosplay.
I
I
didn't
was
say I
working
wasn't a
at
goblin.
Dollar Tree earlier today doing the same thing. Like, this is what we do. This is cosplay.
Yeah, I've slowly been catching on that cosplay is really just making stuff. You don't have to wear it ever, apparently.
No, you don't ever have to wear it. You just make it again and again and again, and you make
Yeah.
more stuff. And yeah, I get that. That's awesome.
You all met the demon child.
Hmm.
Nala, who was we got from a rescue shelter.
Mhm.
She turned out to be long hair. I think I posted a picture of her every once in a while. She's an angel. She's the most pretty cat I've ever had, and I've had probably close to 50 cats in my lifetime from childhood to now. And then this Friday, we're getting a rehomed cat from my wife's cousin. Because we've been talking about a third cat for a while, and this one needs a home now, so we're just going to take it.
It's perfect. That's how
Yeah.
that works.
Wonderful. Ideal set of Beskar armor. I am a huge Return of the Jedi fan. Sorry, I'm a huge original trilogy fan. I think the book trilogy was called The Mandalorian Armor, or the Bounty Hunter trilogy. It was about Boba Fett, and it was 3 books, and it was between Empire Strikes Back leading up to Return of the Jedi. And Boba Fett's armor was just it for me. That's it. It had everything. And in the book of Boba Fett, they showed that he had everything, which was really cool. Even the knee rockets of all things. Stupid knee rockets. They're so cool. So cheesy, but they're cool.
It's the best. Yeah. Why would you not have those?
My canonical Star Wars universe, everything. It's all of it. And you know why? I don't want to spoil anything current for people in Disney stuff with the world between worlds and changing stuff. To me, everything exists now. Our Mandalorian games, that's canon. That's canon to me.
Yeah.
It exists.
Yep.
It's happening out there in a universe. I don't do Mario Kart. Yeah, we are all technically. But no, I don't do Mario Kart. I was never a Nintendo kid. I never had a console. Always a computer.
Dang.
Consoles were expensive and whatnot, and we always had a computer, so I was like computer games. Plus, what more would you need in the mid 2000s besides Battlefront and Battlefront 2 and the Jedi Knight Academy trilogy stuff?
SimCity. SimCity. That was all I played.
Oh,
and Mr. Ribbon.
Gosh.
Yep.
Man, Sims.
Yes. So good.
I did not watch I've seen the original Karate Kid, but I haven't seen the new Karate Kid stuff. Sorry, Grip. I don't know who that is. I'm sorry. I don't know who anyone is in the server.
Why do you have so many names? That's my brother.
Oh.
So...
I'm never going to read this again. Oh, that I regret?
Ooh.
Oh man.
Which Star Wars
probably a couple
that you're trying to get? Yeah.
Not a Star Wars one, but probably a couple Russian literature ones that I had in college. I didn't keep them all because we went through a lot of them in college. That now that I have a house to put things in, I would have preferred to have kept them. I'm sure I could go through the list and buy them now, but I'm a book collector. I like having my library.
Yes.
Preferred creative outlet, definitely crafting. I like working with my hands between the skulls and the cutting things and gluing them together, and I'm currently trying to use tree bark to glue them to these snake leg protectors. So to have the druid bark armor skin kind of thing.
That's so cool.
I just love working with my hands and taking things apart, putting them together. I did that with a lawnmower a few times when I was younger.
And you still have all 10 fingers?
This
10
one,
toes?
this one, slightly crooked. I broke that in college. There was a sword fighting club, and I was really good at it. And then my senior year, in the final semester, while I was working on one of my major papers, I decided to break my hand. Broke
Yeah,
actually
what
this.
you do?
Yeah, this whole portion right here.
Ooh.
Fortunately, they weren't like micro fractures. They were like clean cuts and breaks. This is the only one that didn't quite reattach properly.
Was it sword fighting, or was it something like I was walking down the hallway and there was a rock?
No, it was sword fighting.
Okay,
Straight
cool.
up. I was
Well,
in the middle. I was 2 minutes past when I realized it happened because I could feel in my glove how my hand didn't feel right in there. So I tried to pull the glove off, and it suddenly was like, it's like, okay, you need to go to the ER right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's amazing how, like, when you get a traumatic injury like that, your brain's like, I'm going to shut this off. You have no idea you've done this. You're fine.
No idea that it happened.
Hours later, you're like,
spar. That was. I'm super queasy actually when it like I've shot deer. I've cleaned them. I've done histology work where I have gerbils and mice and rats. I cannot handle anything on myself.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I pass out at the sight of needles going into my skin. It's fine. Yep.
Yeah.
Totally fine.
I'm really proud of my book collections, from cookbooks to Star Wars books to literature, foreign literature, all that kind of thing. Oh, sorry, I really have to get to this. My cool voice. This is a very worked on accent to be more articulate and clear, because I did have that Appalachian accent that everything just comes to the fore and you can't have it understand what's going on there and there. So I'm just talking and that was like one other thing on my phone from time to time, because people didn't understand me when I was in middle school and high school, and people were just like, well, where are you from? And yonder then, and nobody understood nothing that I was saying. Every once in a while that still comes through, and my wife just makes me stop and go, cannot understand what you're saying.
So I lived in deep Appalachia for like 6 years, so I understood every single thing you said.
Okay, good. That was like an easy version too.
Mm-hmm.
And
mine will come back out. Yeah.
There were some people that I lived around down there with, and I could not understand them.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm like, what? I don't. So my dad would have to translate, or my uncle would have to translate. But
and there was always
I actually
doing tobacco too.
Oh,
like
gosh,
while they were talking. Yep.
Yep. Yeah. Disgusting.
Good times. You know, people who've been in deep Appalachia for like, yes. Oh my god, I love that. I love that.
Yeah, my brother and I were the weird ones out in our family, because we just, that wasn't us at all. We were the nerds. We were the younger generation that was technologically literate, and it was weird being in that region. And then leaving it was even weirder, because I wasn't that, but people outside of that saw me as that, and it's like very confusing. Like, what are those like young childhood? What am I? What am I supposed to be right now?
Right. Well, and everybody's trying so hard to put you in a box, and they're like,
yeah,
this is my box, so you need to fit in this box. Why are you not in my box?
Yeah.
And you're like, because I don't belong there.
Yeah.
This is not me. So, oh my god, I love it. So I hate to cut you short, because
I know, we're over.
I know. I've been told everybody gets a part 2. That's just kind of where we're at now. So yes. But before we go, can you please tell us what tea you're drinking? I'm very curious.
This is a Massachusetts local regional company called the
Uh-huh.
Beehive, and they base all of their stuff off of Lord of the Rings locations. So this one is the Shire. It's a green
Uh-huh.
tea.
Uh-huh.
I also have a white tea that is called the Misty Mountains, which is even better.
Ooh,
So,
okay. Okay. We're all gonna you'll have to drop it in the Behind the Mask
oh,
chat
I can do
later.
that. You'll have to ping me about that, but yeah.
I will. I love tea. I am getting a lot more into tea. I'll have to send you some of
I
my
love
teas
tea, I
this
love
year.
coffee, I love whiskey. There's a whole whiskey side of me that I
Good.
didn't even get to go into. It
Oh, I have a story for that. I'll tell you that offline though. All right, friends, this has been wonderful. Angel, thank you so much for spending your time with us tonight. We
Thank you
appreciate
for
you.
having me.
Yes. And thank you, kitty kitty. Um, friends, we will oh, where can we find you? Where can we see your cosplay? Oh my gosh, I forgot that
Um,
part.
Primarily just Instagram. It's
Okay.
Angel of Saints.
Hmm.
Um, Mark, AJ, Coruscant Knights, Tales from the Outer Rim all follow me, so look me up.
We can find you.
It's currently a picture of my Shadow Troopers, so look for the black armor stormtroopers.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. And then we have to find the Thrawn picture because I love
Oh
Thrawn.
yes.
So amazing. Angel, thank you so much for spending time with us.
Mm.
Go follow him at Angel of Saints on Instagram. And friends will be back next month with another awesome guest that I can't remember right now, but Mark's going to put it in the notes. Thank you, Andrew, for running everything. And thank you, Mark, for having us. And as always, don't forget, come to the best place of the internet other than the Lord of the Rings MMO, the Nightcrest creative server on Discord. Bye, everyone. Now we smile and wave.
Bye.